Good day, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mqondis Magaba from Tembela Maths Club, a club that helps learners to understand mathematics. Today, we are going to be dealing with a very interesting topic, which is called analytical geometry. And in analytical geometry, we are going to be dealing with a distance formula. So, the objectives of today's session. So that means that after the end of this video, you should be able to know the following 4 things. Number 1, how to calculate the distance. If you are given points and then you are given distance, you are given a line between those 2 points, how to calculate a distance from that point to the other point. That is number 1. And then number 2, while you are calculating this distance, one of the things that you're going to come across is how to substitute properly. Some of you guys struggle a lot to substitute correctly, and as a result of that, you lose a lot of marks. And then thirdly, you will deal with set forms and decimal forms, but we will explain those things in details when we get to them. And then lastly, you are going to look at how do you present your answer. Not just presenting your answer, but presenting your answer in the context of the question that was asked. Remember, in geometry, it is not only important to know what you are talking about, but it is also very important to know how to present what you are talking about. So it's not only important about what is it that you write, but also the how parts. How do you write things? It's also very important. So that is why we're going to deal with all of these things in details, because ladies and gentlemen, personalities, how you write is going to determine whether you do get marks or not, because in the syllabus of CAPS, this is for grade 10 ladies and gentlemen, personalities. This is for grade 10 analytical geometry, but grade 11 and grade 12 can use this session as a revision. All right. So that's basically what we are going to be doing. Now let's get straight to the chase and then let's see what is it that we come with. All right. So let us say we've got a distance, and a distance doesn't just begin with a distance, it begins with what? It begins with a point. Let's say we've got a point here. And then the x of this point, let's call it x1. And then the y of this point, let's call it y1. Right? And then we've got another point here. And then let's say this is point 2. So the x of this point, let's call it x2. And then the y of this point, let's call it y2. Now, how do we find the distance between these 2 points? We find the distance between these 2 points by using a distance formula, which is as follows. It's d is equal to the square root of what? Of x2 minus x1 all squared plus y2 minus y1 all squared. This is a formula that we use to do what? To find the distance between 2 points. Now, let's pick up some examples and let us be able to see how we can use what we have just discovered to solve those kind of problems. Let's say the question is find the distance between, let's say they say the following. Find the what? The distance between, let's put points. The first point will be 1 and 2, 1 versus 2, 1 versus 2, which simply means that the x part is 1, then the y part is 2. And 13 versus what? versus 7. Okay. So we can pick any of these points and make it 0.1. So we are going to pick, say, 1 versus 2 and call it 0.1. So we put it here. Let's use a different color so that it will use to look a little bit interesting. I wish I had a brighter color, but unfortunately I don't. Right. So let's put 1 here and then 2 here. And then here, what do we put? We put 13, and then put 7. All right. So how do you solve the problem? Here's a question: you are supposed to find the distance. So guys, step number 1, what do? You write the formula as it is. That is step number 1. Step number 2, what do? You substitute. So how do you substitute here? All right. So you will say D is equal to, now in a place of x2, where is x2? Here is x2. What is aligned with x2 is 13. So you'll end up having 13 minus, and what is x1? We go to x1. Here's x1. Oh, there is a number that is aligned to x1. So it's 1. And then going to say squared because of the formula. And then you're going to say plus, and you open a bracket. And in y2, where is y2? Here is y2. Here's a number that aligns with y2, which is 7. So it's going to be 7. And then minus y1. Where is y1? Here is y1. Here is a number that is aligned with y1. And then what do you get? You get 2. And then all of this thing squared. Right. So this step is substitution. Ladies and gentlemen, personalities, there is a mark for substitution. There is a mark for substitution. Right. So when you finish with substitution, then what you can do, ladies and gentlemen, you say 13 minus 1. What is that? It's going to be 12. So you end up with square root of, you've got 12 squared, right? And then 7 minus 2. 7 minus 2 is what? Is 5. So plus 5 squared. Now what is 12 squared? 12 squared is 144. You can check it with your calculator if you want to. And then plus 25. All right. Now this is nothing other than what? This is nothing other than square root of 169. All right. And then the square root of 169 is what? Is 13. Right. But now, because this is a distance, you can't just say 13. 13 what? So it's 13 u. Let me actually write with a different color so that this thing will be clear. It's 13 units. If this was in centimeter, then this would be centimeter. If it was kilometer, it would be kilometer. If it was meter, it would be meter. But because they did not give us anything, then we know that it's going to be units, because we are just acknowledging the fact that this is a distance, and a distance can't just be 20 watts. It must be 20 something, 20 meter or 20 centimeter or whatever it is, the unit that you are currently, that you'll be using. All right. So that is basically how to deal with these kinds of things. But ladies and gentlemen, I do not know. From my side, when you are here, you can simply put this thing literally as it is on a calculator, and then you can go straight to this one. You will definitely do get an answer. but you must follow your teacher closely because it is very important to know what is it that your teacher prefers so that you can actually follow that. I don't want you to tell you to do something and then you do something and then your teacher tells you something else, right? So follow your teacher. I was just outlining all of these steps so that I want you to see how did I end up getting this kind of an answer. But basically, from here onward, you can just put this thing in a calculator and go straight to the answer. So that is it. All right. So we saw that, okay, the first step is to put what? The distance formula as it is, and then substitute, and then solve after that. And then the last one is to show your answer in terms of how it is required. All right. Now, let us try another one. Right. Because I know you guys like things. Let me write you some steps so that you can copy it down and use it. Steps to find the distance. To find the distance. Okay. Step number 1. Write the formula. The formula as it is. That is number 1. Number 2. Substitute properly. Right, and then number 3, after substituting, solve or simplify, and then lastly, which is number 4, present your answer in with, let's just say, with units. All right, so these are the steps that you follow in order to successfully be able to find the distance and get all the marks that you're supposed to get. All right. Okay, you can pause this video and then write these things down. I'm gonna wipe it down now because I need to go to the next word. All right. You don't have to go at my speed because you can always rewind me and do all of those kind of things. All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, personalities. Okay, let's say now we've got other new points now where we're supposed to find the distance. Let's say the new points are the following: 2 and 3. Let me not start with that one. Let me start with let me actually start with this one so that we can actually see. Yes, it's 2 and 3, 2 versus 3. Okay, let me use a different color. 2 versus 3, right? And then here we've got what? We've got 4 versus 5. Now, how do we do this? In the same way as we did earlier, what do? We just distance formula. We write the distance formula as it is, and then afterward we substitute. So when we substitute, our D is going to be equal to what? is going to be equal to x2, which is 4, and then x1, which is 2, so minus 2 all squared, right? And then plus, and then y2 is what? Y2 is 5, so it's going to be 5, minus y1 is 3, so 3 squared. Now, let's gently personalities. When you put this thing on a calculator, you will get what? You can put it on a calculator yourself, and then you will see, you will end up getting something like this. Square root of 8, right? Your D is going to be square root of 8, all right? Now, I want you to listen to this one, and I want you to listen very carefully. If they said in the instruction, leave your answer in third form, what you can simply do here is to simplify this square root of 8 so that it can be in the simplest set form. That is, if they specifically required you to leave your answer in the set form, or if they didn't say anything, then you can just leave it in the simplest form. So how to simplify this? We all know that square root of 8 is same as 4 times what? Times 2. All right. So this is square root 4 and square root 2. Square root of 4 is what? Square root of 4 is 2. And then root 2 remain like this. And then just say units. All right. All right. Or you don't have to go through all of these things. When you are here, you can just take this thing, a calculator, and just say square root of 4. Sorry, square root of 8. 8, and then it will just give you 2 square root of 2 straight away, and then you say units. That is if they said that you must leave your answer in what? In a set form, or if they didn't say anything, just leave it here and then don't go further. All right. But now let's say they said to you, leave your answer in decimal form. Now, if they said so, what will you do in that particular case? Okay, what you will do, I hope you've written this, all right? Or you can just rewind a little bit and then be able to write. So I'm going to wipe it off now for the purposes of what I want to explain now. You can just say square root of 8 and then say equal signs, and then there is a button. You see, there is deleted. There's a button here, and this button is S to D, which means set to decimal. So then press that button, and then you will get this answer in a decimal form. So if it's in a decimal form, you get something like this: is equal to 2.8284. There are more other numbers that are here. Right. Now, when you are here, ladies and gentlemen, personalities, it is very important to know in which decimal form, in how many decimal digits do they want from your answer. Right. So, if they say leave your answer in 2 decimal digits, therefore that means that you leave your answer with 2 numbers after the comma. So this means you're gonna have 2 comma, and you've got this 8, but now, after this 2, there is a number that is greater than 5. Then it means you must add 1 here, and then you end up with 8, 3, and then you say. But if this number was less than 5, then you will just leave it as 2 here, but it's more than 5 now, so you add, and then you get 2.83 units. Right, and then you are done, and then you take all of your marks. Now, ladies and gentlemen, personalities, I am going to do the last one now, right? So this is the last one. Okay, it's not the last one. It's the second last one. Then I will do the last one. Okay. So now let's say you've got 4. Okay, let's make sure this. You've got 4 versus 6. 4 versus 6. And then I want you to take note that now we'll have 13 versus minus 6 now. So there's a minus sign. Right? So how do we deal with those kind of things? Here. Alright. So let's check personalities. When you are here, you do the same thing that you did earlier. You write the formula literally as it is. And step number 2, you substitute. So how to substitute here? So you say x2. Where is x2? Here is x2 is 13. So you've got 13. And then minus, because there is minus in this formula. And then x1. Where is x1? x1 is 4. Here is x1. So it's 4 all squared. So you're done with this part. And then there's plus here. So you put this plus here. And then there's a bracket here. Open this bracket. Now, where is y2? Now, y2 is what? y2 is minus 6. Now, that is where the problem starts, because we've always been having numbers that are positive. Now, we are having a number that is negative. Now, what do you do in this instance? So, in that instance, when you substitute a number that is negative, you must, beside this bracket, the one that was already there, you must put another bracket to accommodate a negative number, and then put negative 6. And then close that bracket, and then minus, because there is minus here. And y1, where is y1? y1 is 6, and then you put this 6 here, and then you close this bracket, and then you put squared here. Alright? So you can put this thing exactly as it is on your calculator. And ladies and gentlemen, personalities, if you do that, you put these things on a calculator, it will give you something like this. It will give you 15. You can check it yourself. And then 15 is units, because they didn't give us any units, so we say just units. Alright? Okay. Now be very careful, guys, when there's a negative number being substituted. It comes with its own bracket. Alright? Alright, so it's very important to remember that. Okay, let's do the last one. Okay, now what is happening with the last one? So guys, I want you to understand what we are currently doing here in this trigonometry, in this analytical geometry thing. So what we are simply doing here, we are solving problems, we're finding distances here. We are solving geometry problem, but we are using algebra. That's basically what analytical geometry is about. Okay, and then in Euclidean geometry, you are still solving geometry there, but now you are using arguments, you are using theorems, and all of those kind of things, and reasoning, and all of those kind of things. Okay, so now we've got a distance between, now we've been told that it's A, and then they say A is minus 4. Okay, let me actually use a different color, just so that we can be able to distinguish things. Oh, sorry. Okay, so A is what? Is minus 4 minus 1, minus 4 minus 1. And then they say B, there's 1 here, not minus 1. Okay, and then they say B is minus 1 and minus 3. It's minus 1 versus minus 3. Okay, and then they are looking for distance. Okay, we do have our distance formula, which is this one. Okay? But ladies and gentlemen, personalities because these points are personalized, you've got A and B. Let us express this point in terms of what they've given us. So the line started A, it ends at B. So we can call that line what? We can call that line AB. Alright? And then say equal to. right? And then we open brackets, and then x2 is what in this case? So if you say this is A, now that means that this is x of point A, right? And then this is y of point A. Can you see that? Very important. And then here you've got x of point B, and then you've got y of point B. Okay, so x2 is xb in this case. So you're going to say xb minus xa, and then all squared, and then plus, and then we're going to say yb minus ya, and then all squared. Alright, so you've got a new distance formula now, which is personalized, which is in the context of what we are dealing with. And then when you substitute, you open your brackets, and then xb is what? So where is xb? There we go, it's minus 1. Remember, you put your another bracket, it's minus 1. And then minus the one of the formula. And then what about xa? Xa is minus 4 also. So you put another bracket, minus 4. Right? And then you put the brackets of what? Of the formula. But just to make these things a little bit easier, now let's just put the brackets of the formula with different colors. Okay, so as you can see what is happening, and then they squared. Okay, and then you will have this plus, and then you put these brackets here, and then yb, what is yb? Yb is minus 3. So minus 3, you see? The blue is the one for substitution, and then minus, and then ya, where is ya? Ya is 1, and then close here, and then you square it. Okay, so let's just extend this as well. All right. So ladies and gentlemen, now listen to this and listen to me very properly. Put this thing in a calculator exactly like this. The brackets, just put normal brackets, they will actually turn themselves into this kind of a different brackets, right? When you do that, you will then get something like this. You will get 5, and then those 5 is 5 units. Okay, so AB, distance between A and B is what? Is 5 units. All right, guys, we had objectives that we had to make sure that at the end of this session, we were able to learn how to calculate the distance. Now you know how to calculate the distance. How to substitute properly. Now you know how to substitute properly. Set versus decimal, you know how the story goes there. And then presenting your answer, you know that you need to present your answer, and then you must put units associated with it. So all of the objectives of this session have been met. Right? That means our session was successful. Ladies and gentlemen, personalities, this is the geometry, analytical geometry, and specifically the distance formula. And then on the next video, we are going to deal with the questions that arise from distance formulas, because in maths, you always learn things so that you can actually use those tools to do something else. So we will look at the applications of a distance formula. Where do you apply distance formula in general context? But for now, let's close it here. Thank you very much for tuning in. And ladies and gentlemen, if there's any questions, you know what to do. Just ask those questions, or if there's something unclear, just make sure that you ask clarity in the comment section below. But for now, thank you very much and have a lovely day and goodbye.